Bramble, bramble, bramble. With Wormwood's introduction, the stuff is everywhere. From his new dues in the form of Bramble husks, some armor that we recently spoke on actually, to the newly added Bramble traps. The traps are exclusive to the plant lover, but with teeth traps already existing, are these special toys not really all that special? Well, let's go find out. To start, we might as well compare the two on the resources needed to not only construct a single trap, but also weigh in on how viable fields of the suckers are actually gonna be. And for teeth traps, you'll need a single log, easy enough, a single rope, also easy, but let's remember that that is actually 3 grass per trap, and of course, hound teeth, a small material, but actually one that is not guaranteed either. For you see, hounds, be them normal or their fire and ice variants, only have a 12.5% chance of dropping a tooth. So unless you are spending days upon days farming hounds, and maybe not even getting lucky to begin with, you're not getting a tooth trap filled up as quickly as you may like. But that being said, hound mounds hold 3 teeth per pile of bones themselves, so get to destroying some to make the process a little bit easier. However, the Bramble trap. It uses living logs, easier to come by than you think, and it's only a single one too. And bee stingers, one of the easiest materials to get in the entire game, especially now with Wormwood in the mix. Don one of Wormwood's Bramble husks and perhaps a beekeeper hat for good measure, and then just get to committing a honey sweet genocide, everyone. Bees stand no chance against the armor's area of effect defense mechanism, and you can face down hundreds of the stinging having creatures and still be alright. This not only means a lovely rewarding of honey, but also a crap ton of stingers. Sure, bees don't always drop stingers, but an 83.3% chance is better than a 12.5% one last time I did my maths. So, in the end, one of the materials needed for Bramble is easier to come by. Sure. But what about the other component? Living logs are an interesting one. On the one hand, you'll receive an incredibly useful number of them from tree guardians alone. 6 to be exact. However, tree guardians are not always looking to come say hello, as we have discussed in the past. You can also just hunt down some totally normal and not totally evil trees in order to walk away with 3 living logs, as long as you shovel the stump. But these guys don't grow on trees either, so don't chop them unless you're really desperate. Also, let us remember that Wormwood doesn't really like chopping any of his tree friends, so that's a thing. But come on now, folks, use your noggin. We're playing Wormwood for Pete's sake. Just pull a Groot and stand around chopping off your limbs for the greater good. Crafting living logs knocks you for 20 health a pop, but with Wormwood's easily obtainable compost wrap, maybe even some honey poultice from all the dang honey you got just a few moments ago, or if you got a Wartox, he can use his souls to make sure you're just standing around crafting living logs like it's nobody's business for you or the entire team. Honestly, I knew how significant this was when I first explored it, but if you really think about it, the availability of the craft is outright insane in the right hands. You can have living logs for days before the day is even done. So what do you know? Seems to me that Bramble traps already have the edge crafting-wise, but now it's time we discuss whether or not they will beat out teeth traps in terms of actual use. And there's really only one way to showcase that, and that's through incrementally upping the ante. But for now, let's begin with the reasonable 24 traps each, and honestly, that's a joke for Bramble. You could very easily get 2 times that much in a single day, but it's honestly the teeth traps that are limiting us here. But I digress. Teeth traps deal 60 damage each, which is more than enough to handle the ever-strengthening waves of puppies as long as you keep maintaining and adding additional traps. Keep in mind, though, that a single hound will require multiple hits from multiple traps, and they may even just sneak by the things from time to time, meaning more traps activated than you may honestly wish for. Bramble traps, on the other hand, are range-based, meaning they could very easily take less setting off to deal deal with the very same amount of hounds, as it takes but a single trap to potentially damage all the puppies at once that are looking to nip your behind. So honestly, it may be advised to actually just not go running into the center of your field, but rather keep hounds on the outskirts to maximize individual trap damage. Also because the traps can hurt you too, so that's a thing. Unless, of course, you're wearing the lovely Bramble husk around, that is. So initially, the advantage is going to Bramble, it seems, but we'll see what else it can do. So I say let's up it to 50 traps each, folks, and that is still incredibly reasonable for a world that's been going on for a little while too. And with Bramble traps, it can take you maybe a day and a half to get 50, maybe more. So let's actually up the hound waves too to make things a little interesting. Even with that, you'll find T-traps doing just fine for you considering, but you will be doing more resetting, I can tell you that. It will also probably get a bit dicey at times too, with hounds just dodging and weaving all the dang traps and then you having to navigate them to the unactivated traps and such. And once again, that just means more traps activated and more hassle for you. The Bramble traps, however, will work effortlessly to give any number of hounds their thorny death, and still will require less work to construct and take less overall to do the same job. Honestly though, the choice is yours at the end of the day. Cause again, I'm not here to bash T-traps. In fact, they're an amazing tool to survival that I think everyone should use to stay breathing, and I will never argue against that. I am simply highlighting the incredibly viable nature of Wormwood and his Bramble crap. Cause yeah, I do believe that Bramble wins out in almost every aspect over T-traps, but that being said, why not use both? T-traps for the additional damage now and then, and Bramble for the almost guaranteed crowd control. But one final showcase of things, their effectiveness against bigger and badder boys. If you want pigs, sure, why the heck not? Both types of traps will do just fine if you wish to use them against mobs similar to our porky companions, but sticking them with the thorns is still the way to go. Spiders? Oh, you betcha, folks. T-traps will work wonders, but Bramble will absolutely wipe the frickin' floor with the 8-eyed beast. There is no contest there. The hippity-hoppities? Again, not a single bloody flippin' chance in the world there, especially come Frog Rain itself. Bramble over T-traps once again though. Beefalo? Not too keen on mobs this hefty being ran through traps, no matter which kind they are. They aren't meant for it, but I guess you could if you got enough or are just looking to weaken the mobs before finishing them off yourself. And that goes for the biggest of bads too. I mean, Clopsy alone will need to have stepped on and been damaged by 66 plus T-traps in order to perish, and that is just not worth it in the slightest. And do you see how annoying it is for him to actually activate these things, even given that he's a giant? So, in the end, seems like both sets of traps will lose out against these suckers in some regard, but they can still be used as last resorts or for additional damage time. But there you have it, everyone. Just another short and sweet PSA to hammer home the knowledge needed to properly utilize Wormwood and his new toys. I hope this helps a few of you out there. Well wishes to all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!